So one of the biggest, most common, call it swing flaw, that keeps low and mid handicap golfers from improving is what is often known as early extension. Some golfers will call it standing up. Some golfers will call it something else, but it's that state where you start with a certain amount of flexion here and you're bent a certain amount over. And as you go through impact, everything kind of does this. Now, if you've watched my channel for any time, you know that I've done a few videos on this, but today I'm going to do an altogether different take, and it really might resonate with some of you out there. So if you want to fix this early extension issue, you're going to get more power and way more accuracy. Drop that handicap, then by all means, just keep watching. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I'm on a journey to hit it longer and straighter, not only off the tee, but also into the greens so I can get some shorter birdie putts, have lots more fun with my game. If you're looking to get more fun out of your game and maybe drop a few strokes in the upcoming season, then by all means join us. Hit the subscribe button, like this video if you liked it, and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to visit my website, HitItLonger.com, where you can sign up for a free membership. There are many, many lessons on there, but you'll get the first 5 videos for free. I've left a link down below to that. Sign up today. All right, so let's take another dive into the idea of early extension as opposed to maintaining the posture through the impact zone. But this time, let's take a little bit different tack. And in this video, instead, we're going to be talking about using the ground to create the body position that we would like to get. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you are kind of notorious for having a chair back behind me, or even having you train at home against the wall with your butt against the wall, so you can kind of keep that butt depth, you know, about equal backswing and downswing. But what most people don't realize is that it's the forces that we put down into the ground that are actually responsible for the body positions up above. The ground will react to the force we put down into it, ground reaction forces, or GRF for short, and that actually causes our bodies to move every different direction. So if we can simply manipulate the ground the way that we should, in the different directions that we should, it should become a lot easier to get ourselves out of early extension, start getting ourselves to maintain better posture through the impact zone. Now, why do we want to keep our posture? Why do we want to fix the early extension? Well, number one, the distance that we gain from staying over in our posture is because now it helps us rotate faster. That speeds up the arms, which speeds up the hands, and simply gives us more club head speed compared to coming up out of the shot like that. But furthermore, we're going to get an enormous boost in accuracy, because as we stay back and turn this way, it really changes the journey of the handle, or the hand path as some will call it, gets it to arc around us more this way. And that applies a lot of accelerating and squaring torque to the face of the club, so that it's not only speeding up when it's coming into the ball, but it's a lot easier to get it square and keep it squarer to the arc as we go through the impact zone. All right, let's get into a few ideas about ground reaction forces that you may need to know before we tackle these tips. Now, there's 3 different categories of forces that can be applied to the ground. So first you have vertical force, or straight down into the ground. Like if you jump and land, the vertical force would go kind of nuts, would really spike. But you have 2 other ones to take into account. You have a torsion force, or something like if I tried, my foot doesn't necessarily have to move, but if I attempted to torque the ground, or torque my foot, you know, there's enough vertical force so it stays in place, but you can see I'm trying to rotate my foot. The force plate will measure that. It'll measure in 2 directions. You'll have counterclockwise and clockwise torsional force being applied into the ground. The third set of motions that a force plate will measure is going to be shear forces, and it'll have an X and Y axis for the shear forces. So if I were to do a kick like this, but plant into the ground as I tried to do it, you see I'd be trying to push this mat or push the carpet towards the camera like this. And if I went the other way and I started trying to pull my heel as if I was trying to kick backwards, it would look something like this. See, if I got to apply enough vertical force into the ground to begin with, and that really plants this foot, doesn't allow it to kind of move. So, but I am applying this backwards force into the ground as I'm pushing down into the ground at the same time. Just by standing here in space, just the little balances we have to do, we're pretty much applying all three of these different forces down into the ground. And you can imagine that during all points of a golf swing, even at address, but especially coming down to impact or just before impact, all three of these dimensions of forces are really registering high on a force plate. So by understanding these different types of forces we apply to the ground, we can actually use some of them to kind of reverse engineer our body position. And it can really get us out of the early extension pattern actually really fast. You might be able to do it in just a few swings if you can really get a hang for the forces that you're trying to apply to the ground. In an early extension, which would involve doing this, you see. So first of all, the weight is going to be applied down into the ground via your instep or more into the toes. But the other thing that's going to be happening is you're going to actually be pushing backwards or trying to shear the ground backwards like this. And that's what actually helps you claw your hips forward, is by trying to almost pull back with the foot rearward as you're pushing down into the ground vertically through your toes. So we can use that as our strategy, and we can reverse that in the left foot. So we've reached the top of the swing, we've kind of loaded up into the right foot. The left foot is rather weightless. So here's the key moment now. As we step down, we need to step down into the heel, and we actually are going to apply forces in this direction, as if, let's say I've got my heel in the ground here, and I'm going to try to pull this carpet. Like, let's say I can slide this whole mat across the room in that direction. And that combination right there of force, vertical force down into the heel, and push this way, you'll see that to do that, your butt will have to get behind you. As I try to push this way, it backs my butt up, and around I can go in posture. All right, let me give it a try with a swing. We'll take a look at it in slow motion. And although we won't be able to measure the force off this mat, you'll be able to see the motion that responded to those forces in the ground. So let's give that a shot. So looking back at that in slow-mo, you can definitely see how my rump actually kind of sticks out a little bit more than where I was at the top of the swing. I kind of actually increase the amount of hip flexion as I'm stepping over, but that body position was a response. It was not the action, it was more the reaction of the ground forces that I put into the ground through my feet, pushing on me and repositioning my body, kind of pushing me in the right direction. So if you've watched some of my other videos, and you've seen a lot where I'm putting the chair behind me or working against a wall, And those are really excellent drills as well. But if you're not someone who likes to drag a chair around, or maybe you don't want to rely on the feeling of the chair and you just want to be able to do the motion correctly on the driving range and then out onto the golf course, then you might give this a shot. Is this shearing force as I step down into the heel? I'm trying to push this way, and that's really gonna back up the butt, similar to the players that you're seeing on TV today. Like we took a look at Rory McIlroy in slow motion, and boy, do you see him very accentuated to make that move as he starts down. All right, I'm gonna go back and hit some more balls and experiment more with my pretend force plate and how it helps me position my body better. But thanks so much for watching and helping my channel grow so fast. And thanks to Golf Development Complex in Moorpark, California for providing us the beautiful scenery. And if I don't see you in the next video, then I hope I see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Take good care.